50 years. Yes, 50 long years. 50 years I have opened my refrigerator door every single morning, and not once in all that time have I found a spot of mold, a slick of slime, or that sour smell that tells you something has gone wrong in the back behind the milk. Not once. Not even a single once. My neighbors throw out science experiments. My own daughter calls me in a panic every few months because something fuzzy is growing in her crisper drawer. And I just smile because I learned the trick at a yellow kitchen table in 1974. And I have done the same small thing every week since. People do not believe me when I tell them. They think I must be cleaning constantly, scrubbing every shelf, living like a hospital ward. I am not. I am a woman who is good with her time and better with her dollar. And what I do takes about 15 minutes once a week. That is the whole secret. 15 minutes, a few things you almost certainly already own, and a way of thinking about your refrigerator that the appliance companies and the grocery stores would honestly prefer you never figured out. Here is the thing most people get wrong before they even start. They think mold is about dirt. It is not. Mold is about moisture and air and time. And the food industry has spent the last 60 years selling you a refrigerator and a grocery cart that practically grow it for you. They want your food to spoil. A spoiled head of lettuce is a head of lettuce you have to buy again. There is no money in your leftovers lasting 2 weeks. There is enormous money in them turning the moment you turn your back. My mother understood this in the years after the Depression, when a wasted egg was a small tragedy and a moldy loaf of bread was money in the garbage. She passed it to me at that kitchen table, and today I am going to pass the whole thing to you. The weekly ritual, it's my small way of keeping things right. The reason my refrigerator has stayed clean for 50 years, while everyone else fights a losing war against the fuzz in the corner. So before we go 1 inch further, do me a small favor and hit that subscribe button, and tap the little notification bell right next to it. I put out this old-fashioned kitchen table wisdom every week, and the bell is the only way you will know when the next one lands. Now, let me show you exactly what I do. The first thing you have to understand is that your refrigerator is not a sealed box. People treat it like a vault, like once the door shuts, time stops. It does not. Every time you open that door, warm kitchen air rushes in, carrying moisture and invisible mold spores that are floating in every home on Earth. Those spores land on a damp surface, and within a few days they have a colony going. The door shuts, the light goes off, and they get to work in the dark. The trick is not to kill the spores. You cannot. They are in the air you are breathing right now. The trick is to take away the 3 things they need to grow, and you take them away on a schedule before the colony ever starts. That schedule is the whole game. Most people clean their refrigerator when it already smells. By then you have lost. You are not preventing mold, you are evicting it, and it always leaves family behind. So here is the first piece of my weekly ritual, and it is the simplest one. Once a week on the same day, I take everything out. Everything. Not a deep scrub, not yet. I just empty the shelves onto the counter, and as I do it, I check every single item with my eyes and my nose. The lemon going soft in the back, the half jar of sauce I forgot about, the leftovers from a dinner I can barely remember. Anything questionable goes, right then, before it becomes the seed that infects everything around it. One bad strawberry will mold an entire container in 2 days. You pull the bad one, you save the rest. My mother called the back of the refrigerator the forgetting place, and the forgetting place is where mold is born. Now, while the shelves are empty, here is the second piece. I take a clean cloth and I wipe down every shelf and every wall with plain white vinegar straight from the gallon jug. Not bleach, not some $40 spray with a lemon on the label. White vinegar, the same kind I have bought for pennies my entire adult life. Vinegar is an acid, and mold cannot establish itself on an acidic surface the way it does on a plain wet one. The grocery store sells you a whole shelf of antibacterial sprays designed for kitchens, and not one of them does this job better than the jug that costs about $2 and lasts me 3 months. I get into the corners. I get into the little channel along the bottom of the door where water pools and nobody ever looks. I pull out the crisper drawers entirely and wipe underneath them, because that is the single dirtiest place in your whole refrigerator, and I would bet my pension you have never once looked under there. Then I dry everything. And drying is not optional. It is the most important word I'm going to say today, so let me stop right here and say it plainly. If this is already helping you think differently about that box in your kitchen, do me a kindness and leave a like on this video. It costs you nothing, and it tells the powers that be to show this to another grandmother's grandchild who needs it. Now back to the drying, because this is where everyone fails. Now keep this in mind. Mold needs moisture. I have said it 3 times now, and I will keep saying it until you hear it in your sleep. A wet shelf is an invitation. A dry shelf is a locked door. So after I wipe everything down with vinegar, I take a second dry cloth and I go over every surface again, until there is not a bead of water left anywhere. Most people wipe and walk away, and they have just handed the mold a damp, clean, acid-free surface and a week of darkness to use it. You might as well plant a garden. Here is something the appliance companies will never put in the manual. Once everything is dry and back in place, I keep an open box of plain baking soda on the top shelf, and I write the date on it with a pencil and change it the first of every month. Baking soda does not just absorb odors. It pulls excess humidity out of the air inside the box, and dry air is air where mold cannot live. A fresh box costs about 50 cents. The fancy refrigerator deodorizers at the store, the little plastic egg-shaped ones with the activated charcoal, they can run you about $6 or $7. That is a big difference. And do the same thing the yellow box has done since before I was born. And here is the part that gets my own daughter every single time. Tupperware, containers, they make all the difference. The way you store your food matters more than almost anything else. Loose food, food in its torn store packaging, food in a bowl with a sheet of plastic half draped over it, which doesn't do much. That is food breathing moisture into the air and catching every spore that floats by. I keep everything in glass containers with tight lids. Leftovers go in sealed the moment they have cooled. Never warm, because a warm container sweats and makes a mess. And that sweat is water, and water is the enemy. A sealed container is a tiny vault inside the box. The mold cannot get in, and the moisture cannot get out to feed the mold growing on something else. I learned that lesson the hard way in the autumn of 1976, when I lost an entire shelf of food to one uncovered pot of soup that fogged up the whole interior overnight. My mother did not scold me. She just handed me a stack of lids and said, "Child, a lid is cheaper than a funeral for your groceries." I have never forgotten it, and I have never lost a shelf since. There is one more thing I do that nobody talks about, and it is the temperature. Your refrigerator should sit right at the cold end of the safe range, cold enough that mold and bacteria slow almost to a stop. But most people keep theirs too warm without ever knowing it. The dial inside is not a temperature. It is just a number from 1 to 5, and the factory sets it low to save the store's display models from frosting over. I keep a little thermometer on the middle shelf, the kind that costs $1, and I check it when I do my weekly cleaning. Too warm and everything in there is racing towards spoilage. A few degrees colder and your food simply lasts longer. The store would rather it spoiled, remember. Longer-lasting food is a smaller grocery bill. Now let me talk about the food itself, because the cleanest refrigerator in the world will still grow mold if you fill it with food that is already losing the fight. This is where the grocery store really does its damage, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Pre-washed lettuce in a bag is the worst offender there is. The store washes it, seals it wet inside a plastic bag, and ships it to you already half spoiled. That bag is a swamp. I buy a whole head of lettuce. I wash it myself, and here is the trick my mother taught me. I wrap it in a clean, dry kitchen towel before it goes in the crisper. The towel wicks the moisture away from the leaves, and a head of lettuce wrapped that way stays crisp for 2 weeks, while the bagged kind turns to slime in 5 days. Same with herbs, same with greens of any kind. The towel is doing the work the plastic bag was designed to prevent. Berries are the other great heartbreak of the modern refrigerator. They arrive with mold spores already on the skin, picked up in the field and the warehouse, just waiting for moisture. The moment I get them home, before they ever see the inside of my refrigerator, I give them a bath in a bowl of water with a good splash of that same white vinegar, swish them gently, and then I dry them completely on a towel. The vinegar kills the spores on the surface, and the drying takes away the water they would need to grow. Berries treated that way last me well over a week. Berries straight from the plastic clamshell are fuzzy in 3 days, and that is exactly how the store wants it. What you are seeing in every single one of these tricks is the same idea turned a dozen different ways. Take away the moisture. Take away the spore. Take away the warmth and the forgetting and the time. The food industry has built its entire model on the opposite of all of that, on packaging that traps water and food that arrives already dying. Because a kitchen that wastes food is a kitchen that comes back to the store every few days with its wallet open. My refrigerator does not work that way, and after 50 years, neither do I. If you have made it this far with me, then you are exactly the kind of person I make these for. And I would be honored if you subscribed and turned on that notification bell so we can keep doing this together. The old ways are not gone. They are just waiting in kitchens like mine to be handed back to people like you. Let me give you the whole ritual one more time, plain and simple, the way I would tell it to my own granddaughter standing at my elbow. 1 day a week, same day every week, empty the shelves. Check every item with your eyes and your nose, and throw out anything turning before it turns the rest. Wipe every surface with white vinegar. Get into the corners and under the drawers. Dry everything completely because a wet shelf is a planted seed. Keep a dated box of baking soda on the top shelf to drink up the humidity. Store everything in sealed containers, cooled first, never warm. Keep a dollar thermometer on the middle shelf and run it cold. And bring home food that is not already half spoiled. Wrapping your greens in a dry towel and bathing your berries in vinegar before they ever go in. 15 minutes a week. That is the whole thing. That is 50 years of a clean refrigerator, hundreds of dollars a year saved on food I never had to throw away and buy again, and a kitchen that has never once greeted me with that sour smell in the morning. My mother did this every Friday of her life, right up until the end. The last time I stood in her kitchen, she was wiping down the bottom shelf with a vinegar cloth, the gallon jug right there on the counter where it had sat for as long as I could remember. She handed me the cloth without a word, the way she had handed me everything that mattered, and I have been holding it ever since. She has been gone many years now. The kitchen table is mine now, and someday it will be my granddaughter's. And the cloth and the jug will go right along with it. None of this is complicated. None of it is expensive. And none of it is a secret because it is hard. It is a secret because there is no money in teaching it. The people who profit when your food spoils were never going to be the ones to tell you how to make it last. That job has always belonged to the grandmothers, passed hand to hand across a kitchen table, and now it belongs to you too. So this week, try it. Pick your day, empty those shelves, reach for the vinegar, and dry every surface like you mean it. Then come back next Friday and the one after that and watch what 50 years of a small habit can do. If this brought back a memory of your own mother or grandmother, or if it changed the way you will look at that refrigerator tonight, leave me a like so I know it landed. Subscribe and tap the bell for more of these old kitchen table ways, and tell me down in the comments which trick you are trying first. I read every single one. I will see you next week.